So our guest speaker is Brian Mudd, WJNO's Program Director and Financial Analyst. He's a distant relative of Roger Mudd and Dr. Samuel Mudd.
Quite the introduction, really appreciate it. This is really exciting for me. We never take for granted that we might be on the air, but if you're not listening and if you're not patronizing our sponsors, we aren't going to be on the air long. We're going to be talking to ourselves, or I'm going to be talking to Ashley, and she already hears enough of me already. So the first thing I want to do is thank you. By the way, how many of you are WJNO listeners? All right, that's a pretty good number. And the rest of you, I forgive you. There is time to make up for this, especially from 5 until 9 tomorrow morning. But the idea behind a community coming together is something that has been underserved for a considerable period of time. It's so easy for us to get involved in our day-to-day lives and not make time for what's really important, especially here in Palm Beach County, given that we have 37 different municipalities that make up one county. And let's face it, many of us aren't necessarily from here, so it's very easy to get fragmented in that you have come together with this organization and are trying to make a difference in our communities is to be commended. A big round of applause for all of you. As Iris mentioned, fortunately or unfortunately, on any given day, outside of what I do on air, I am management for a few different radio stations. So, I can speak to some of those concerns as well about talk radio in general, if you're so inclined. Iris also mentioned Sean Hannity, and again, thanks to you and having been there and listened and the numbers coming back. Sean is what he seems. He's the real deal. So is Glenn, by the way. These are people I've known for years. What you hear is what you get. There is no, on-air persona that is somebody altogether different that you wouldn't be proud of. Those people are legit. They're the real deal. And though Sean is a friend and has been good to me for many years, if you didn't listen, I wouldn't be invited back. And Sean has announced that I will be one of his regular fill-in hosts going forward. So thank you. Think about the angle when you're presenting to media personnel that's going to help them meet their objective to their audience. We always are going to try to fulfill something that we feel is interesting to our target. For a lot of the media, you're going to be talking about, adults that are in the suburban parts of this county. Think about the angles that are going to help them meet their objective and build relationships. What I can tell you with my stations is the door's always open. I know that some of you have made calls to my news department, and we'll take your call. And as long as the story has an angle we can use, we will use it. Build relationships with people at every news organization in town, and every time you pick up that phone, have something to offer them. Rather than asking for coverage, do this for me. Present to them why it's going to be a great story for them. Why it's going to make it a good report on TV. Why it's going to, read well in the paper the next day. If you can think about that angle, you'll have something, and people will come to expect that when, Iris or whoever calls, oh, this is going to be worthwhile. This is going to be something good. What it all gets down to is passion plus talent. Passion plus talent. This is a Tuesday night, and all of you are here. There's no doubt in my mind, every single one of you is passionate about your cause. And your cause is about the 912 Project, the values, what it all represents, about making a difference in our community, because there are a lot of other places you could be right now other than here. And for that reason, whatever your particular talent is, I would encourage you to engage that particular talent. I always thought I was going to do television, in large part because of Roger and a television background. I was kind of gearing up as a kid to do that. When I was 16, I walked into a television station for an internship. Inside of a week, I realized I would never be happy aspiring to read a teleprompter that was written by a producer that I had very little editorial control over. I had a crisis at 16. I'm sitting there going, I had life figured out. And now I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with my life. So I listened to the radio, and a local morning show was doing a pickled pig's feet eating contest for tickets to go see the Lady Chablis in Savannah. Sound nuts yet? But I'm going, I have no in radio. I don't know who's going to listen to a 16-year-old kid, but I happen to know that the guy that was on the morning show was the boss of the radio station. Maybe if I did a good job, he'd give me a chance. So I got into this competition. I got a guy who's like, I don't know, he was probably 6'5" and had some size. And I had another guy who was, probably 6 feet tall, and me. Those were the competitors in this whole deal. So it was whoever could eat the most pig's feet inside of 60 seconds. So I'm going into this going, okay, this is what I'm basing my career on now, that I'm going to beat these guys doing this. So I went ahead and I took those down as fast as I possibly could. And with a couple seconds left, it wasn't over, but both guys had finished. So I drank the juice as well. Needless to say, I was sick for the next 6 days. Not a good situation. I still have trouble with pickle juice to this day, and that was 14 years ago. But what it did do is it got me in the ear of the boss there, and I was able to start my radio career on the FM side. I knew it was going to take some time to get over to talk. Passion plus talent is unstoppable. It's craziness, the little things you can do that will make a difference. You never know, what meeting you might show up at, like tomorrow. You never know who you might come across that's going to be that one thing that changes your life. If I don't go to that silly pickled pig's feet eating contest and do what I did, odds are I'm not here before you right now. Would I have ended up in radio somewhere? Maybe. Would I have taken this path? No. If I don't take this path, I don't meet her. There's no telling what goes on. So never take anything for granted. We shouldn't be doing that at the federal level. We shouldn't be doing that at the state level. We shouldn't be doing that at the municipal level. What you have done, the passion plus talent that you and people like you have enacted, has given me more hope for the political process, federally, statewide, even locally, that I've felt since the contract with America, at a minimum. And the reason is, we care. People show up to the meetings now. People make their voices heard. They're actually willing to make a difference. Marry passion and talent. So what you're doing, I would encourage, if any of you have ever considered to run for public office, if that's a talent that you think you have, do it. By all means. Rick Scott went from being the business guy to an executive of the state of Florida, which, by the way, by the time we get the latest census numbers released, is going to be tied with New York State for the third most populous state in the country. Business to the executive branch. That's kind of a good thought, isn't it? Business people. I've said for some time that we have far too many lawyers, not near enough business people running the show politically. So make a difference. And by the way, one of the things that I find sometimes is that I can make plenty of excuses